Ruslan.
Philip DeFranco recently had one of the worst takes I've ever heard regarding corn and the industry and it being potentially accessible to minors. If you didn't know, Utah, I think, did an amazing job of outlawing or highly limiting the access to Corn Hub. Well, in Philip DeFranco's coverage of this, I don't think he gets it at all. Like, this is such a bad take, and I am so perplexed by it. And I didn't know he was this far gone until he had this take. So let's jump into this conversation.
Keep talking news. And then the war on porn is getting real. With yesterday, Pornhub blocking users in Utah from accessing the site over a new age verification law. And that law, which goes into effect today, requires websites hosting adult content to verify that users are 18 or older. But that means
that's a massive W.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Like, that's a huge W. Like, you should not want the slightest of access of folks who are under 18 to have access to this.
Yes.
Now, watch him produce this word salad of nonsense. Under this new policy, every time a resident visits a porn site, they will be required to provide a government ID. Where you're not just clicking a box.
Pause it. Make that junk as hard as possible for people.
Yeah.
Make it as hard as possible.
Credit check.
Credit check, social, address.
Hard credit check. You gotta get pre-qualified.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Companies that do not comply can be held liable if they're sued because a minor was able to access their content. So if you're in Utah and you try to log on for your nightly Pornhub or midday Pornhub, or I'm not going to judge you, but whenever you did it, you were instead met with a video from adult performer Cherie DeVille. And not because she was like an angry stepmom stuck in a washer dryer. Rather, it's a video of her explaining why access has been blocked for Utah residents.
While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users. And in fact, will put children and your privacy at risk. In addition, mandating age verification without proper enforcement gives platforms the opportunity to choose whether or not to comply. As we've seen in other states, this just drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place. Very few sites are able to compare to the robust trust and safety measures we currently have in place.
Which are also going on.
But you don't have robust trust and safety measures. There are kids getting exposed to this stuff all the time.
They're the best in the industry. Yeah. They have it all covered. It's better than any other industry ever.
So they're pushing back and saying, well, people are going to get it either way. You want to go with the trusted brand. You want to go with the Walmart of corn. Dang, right? And so, again, listen to him just rationalize this nonsense.
Say that in order to be effective, any legislation needs to be enforced against all adult content platforms. And arguing that the most effective way to protect both kids and adults is to identify users based on their device and allow access to certain content based on device identification, and even including a link to its help center page on how to set up parental controls on desktop and mobile devices.
So they want all of the restrictions to fall on parents to set it up on their iPhone.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is for kids who are slipping through the cracks with parents that don't give a crap and are allowing them to, or not even thinking if they are or aren't.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue that he's completely missing.
He's a good kid. He doesn't watch corn.
Go ahead.
Concluding.
Until a real solution is offered, we've made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in your region.
And the big key thing here is
Yay! That's a massive W, ladies and gentlemen. They've disabled, yes, amazing. That's great. And watch this goober argue away why this is a bad thing.
Experts also agree with these claims that age verification is not effective. And instead, it actually drives children to unsafe sites while simultaneously exposing adults who provide highly sensitive personal info to data breaches, hacks, and extortion. And others arguing this could just be the beginning. With one expert
So it sends them to unsafe sites. But if the standard becomes all corn sites have to have age verification, because it should be verified your age, then what you're really saying is we're afraid that Cornhub will have a data breach. So what you're really saying is they got to provide ID, but we're afraid that they're going to fumble the security aspect of it and give everybody their IDs.
It's also from the presumption that Pornhub is Cornhub is a safe site for kids.
Yeah, well, I don't think
he was like the kids are gonna end up going to less or to not safe sites,
right?
And the adults are gonna lose their information,
right?
So the two assumptions are Cornhub is safe, and the kids are gonna go to non-safe sites where they don't have to be verified, and the adult users are not. Their information isn't safe.
Right.
So I'm like, but is Pornhub safe?
Yeah. And if it's not, if it's the premium, why can't you prevent data breaches from people's information getting out?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Telling Axios, I think this has a huge chilling effect on anybody who's operating in the sexual wellness space, as well as obviously
Sexual wellness.
And therein lies, like him pulling these quotes show you where his mindset is.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you can call corn sex wellness and sex speech of all kind, like that's a complete train wreck of a paradigm.
Yeah.
speech of all kinds, including adult content. You know, this goes way beyond Utah. Right? Louisiana was actually the first state to enact a law requiring ID-based age verification for websites that host adult content, with that going into effect back in January. And since then, Mississippi and Arkansas have also signed copycat bills into law. And this is similar proposals are working their way through legislatures in more than a dozen other states. With experts saying these proposals...
Hey, good. Because you know what? You won't find a psychologist out there that is not completely loony crazy that'll tell you that corn is a net positive for people's mental development, for people's psychological development, for people's physical development. The fact that you somehow think that creating less restrictions for this is a good thing is beyond me. This is like saying, cigarettes really aren't that bad, so why do we want to create restrictions where kids can't get them?
Yeah.
It's like we know the tobacco industries back in the 80s and 90s would market towards kids with stuff like Joe the Camel. And so therefore there was a harsher restriction on how to get them, on taxing them. And eventually banning them. Like they banned menthol cigarettes in California. That's the W. You know why? Because cigarettes are destructive. Corn is destructive. It's not good for people. It's not good for their brain development. It's not good for their sexuality. It's just not good. He's approaching this with the presupposition that corn is neutral, and it's not. And you won't find any data to support that idea.
Don't just limit sexual speech and harm the livelihoods of adult performers. As the New York Times explains, these restrictions could also remake the internet for millions of adults, ushering in a tectonic cultural shift to a stricter age-gated online world. And adding, civil liberties groups say that certain bills could make it difficult for Americans, including minors, to view online information they have a constitutional right to see, violating free speech principles. Right? And that's because many of these bills go beyond just regulating platforms like Pornhub, right? Because porn sites are not the only places where you can find porn. In fact, a recent survey by Common Sense Media found that 1 in 3 teens seek out porn just by looking on social media. So as a result,
that's a problem too. So it's like this whataboutism. Well, what about finding corn on social media? Yep, that's bad too. That doesn't mean that highly restricting it is an injustice, a grave injustice that he makes this whole video about.
Yeah.
Many of these proposals that we're talking about here could limit access to social media sites both directly and indirectly. So in order to comply, we're looking at a future where social media sites could essentially be forced to implement much more strict age verification programs, like requiring government ID.
Good. Good.
I think he forgot that the 18 plus means 18 plus.
I think that's a standard.
Yeah, it's like
That's not like a suggestion.
No one's been arguing the 18 plus.
Yeah.
It's just been like the honor system.
Yeah.
And also, I think everyone should have to use their government name on social media. So you should be using your ID. Like, that's not crazy. You don't walk into a store and start talking crazy to somebody as user 124.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So people would be a lot more, not on some like social credit score system, but just on some pure like, all right, let your words out in the streets.
Yep.
They know your name.
Yep.
They know who you are.
Yep.
I think that should be required either way.
I think it should be required for news stations like this, which is he kind of, he's like YouTube infotainment.
Yeah.
News, to critically think through what they're saying and at least present the other side of the argument. Because this was such a poor presentation of, 1, the intent, 2, the practicality, 3, why any of this is bad. Like this is wild for him to cape for the corn industry, which is by design exploitive of most people. There's some minor fraction out there that enjoys doing this kind of work and they're in a bedroom. Like, that's the caveat. There's a lot of trafficking connected to this. There's a lot of not good things connected to this. And so
some of these bills, they're so vague as to what content is harmful, which is why you have so many opponents saying they're using this veil of like porn is evil, save the children, as a way to crack down on the livelihoods and rights of everyday American adults. With all
What are we talking about?
You know, and you know what the most telling part about this and how he shows his hand is never once in this does he say, you know, kids really shouldn't be viewing this.
Yeah.
Kids really shouldn't be viewing this. It's just like, well, it's neutral, and you know what, kids are going to see it anyway, so like, why make it more difficult?
He's the type of dude that would have made this video about requiring IDs before you enter a bar. He'd be like, man, it's just so bad for the industry. It's going to put so many bartenders out of work.
Some kids just want to go in and have a hot dog, bro. They just want to go in and have a hot dog. I mean, a bar sells good hot dogs.
A lot of the times, it's just the experience at sitting at the bar and watching the game with your buddies.
Yeah, what a complete L for Philip DeFranco. He's been having some really bad takes yesterday. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to go the extra mile, partner with us for as little as $5 a month to keep this channel completely independent, brand-free, and ultimately answering to you so we never, ever, ever have to take a brand deal and make goofy commercials like these. Partner with us on our online community. All right?
Our friends at Genucel Skincare have exciting news to celebrate in 2023.
Using Manscaped during my showers after workout has given me much more confidence.
And that's where Mudwater comes in.
True Classic has got your back.
All thanks to the sponsor of today's video, SaveMine.com.
Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Laird or Lady. Subject to credit approval rates range from 7.99% APR to 19.99% APR, included 0.50% auto pay discount.
If you don't want us to make ads with brands you don't care about, sign up for our online community for as little as $5 a month to keep us independent and ultimately answering to you as our boss. You get all sorts of benefits like daily replays of our after party streams, exclusive access to our Discord community, and early access to our podcast interviews, all starting for only $5 a month.